All right, so now have you seen a link on WhatsApp? So click on it, it will ask you to make a copy. So I'm going to make a copy of my own now. Yeah, I've made my copy. So a copy of n8n self-hosting. So I dropped like the Docker link here, image link, which we can use, which is one of the first things we're going to be using. So the first place we are going to go is our render. We'll go to our render account. So I want to be sure that we are on the same page. If you have any challenge, you can just let me know. All right. So now let's remember our flow. So in our flow, we want to access n8n, right? So now n8n is Dockerized, that means containerized. It's containerized. So the first thing we're going to do is to access this and put on render. So for this particular flow, we may not particularly be using GitHub now. And I was thinking about what I said about GitHub. I said I was going to correct that. GitHub it serves more like a store manager than a delivery agent. Of course, delivery agent will pick up from the store and all that. But I will explain that maybe in another session, not this. So the first thing we want to do is to access this containerized application. We're simply accessing the bulk the packages and everything. We want to draw it. So we're going to use the Docker image that points us to this n8n workflow to achieve that. So if you have accessed this particular sheet that I shared, if you come down, you will see the Docker image link. So this is the Docker image link. So it says docker.io/n8nio/n8n.latest. So what this image does is that it fetches the latest package, right, of the n8n application that is in the Docker container. So it's going to fetch that. So you're going to copy this. So copy this link. If you have copied it, you'll come back to your render. So on render, we're going to click on new. When you click on new, so new, you will see it at the top right corner. You will click on new, and once we click on new, you click on web service. So when you click on web service, we have Git provider, we have public Git repository. So these are different ways of connecting an external service to your host, right? So here we're going to use existing image. So that is the image link we collected. So see it docker.io/library. So you see that link there shows that this library, and then this is where it is pointing us to the latest version, right? So I want to believe we're all here. Once you paste it, to see that you copied you're using the right link, you will see this Docker logo. This is Docker logo. So once you see this Docker logo image, it means that you pasted the right link. You pasted the right link, and it shows a tick, so it has verified the link. Then we're going to connect. All right, let's connect. Click on connect. So I'm going to click on connect. Okay, we are connected. Are we all here?
Yes, sir. We are following. We are here.
Nice. So now we're going to give a new name here. So don't include anything in your naming. This name is simply what you want to see on your URL. For instance, for the AIPS, I created AIPS automations. That is what I named it, AIPS-automations. I first did it, I named it n8n-AIPS. And by the time I deployed, anytime I go to the URL, it shows dangerous because of Google settings. So Google settings, sometimes there's automated to pick out malicious URLs. So anytime you load the URL, to be showing dangerous. So even if I ignore the dangerous, is it showing that red distance? So I painstakingly deleted everything I did and started afresh again, recreated the web service and gave it a new name, and a name that does not carry anything. So when you keep n8n, Google knows n8n official URL. So it will assume that you did a pirate copy of n8n, and then it will flag it. So you can call it your name or whatever. I don't know whether this is allowed. Automations. That is all these so I just want to name our shall say automations. So then you're going to choose a region. Most times it's advisable to choose a region that is close to you, and Europe is close to us, right? Europe is close, so I'll go Europe. So anything that I'm doing, most times I always use Europe, whether it's supabase or whatever. I like using Europe. Okay, so while we are doing that, I'm going to be logging into my supabase here. So I want to log into my supabase here. I have impacts. What is the impacts? Let me look for that email, that impact homes email. Uh, I created a new DP, so I want to what's the password? Okay, can't remember what the password looks like. Um, oh, mm, 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 mm. Okay, so this organization. So for my organization, I'm going to name it Chassis. I'll name it Chassis. It's personal. I want to free this here. We have not finished with render. I'm coming back. You have created your own super base. I'm trying to create mine so that when we are done, nobody will be confused. So on render, I wanted all of us to come here. Have we all chosen region? Have you selected the region? Have you set a name and selected the region? If you have, then come to for select free here. I'm not getting any select free. Once you select free, let me know. Organization shall say type database this thing. So I have to enter the database name, whatever here, and then create new project. Create new project. Oh, something insurance. Okay, let's go back to the chassis. So it has created a new project. I need to rename this project. I don't want this project. I'm going to call this n8n. This is what I'll call my own project here. They're having some issues today. Okay, so this is where the big work comes. We are back to render here. So my database is set and my render is set, right? So everybody, you can open your database, open your supabase. Your database is your supabase, right? Open your supabase and let's connect all that we need to connect. Unfortunately, the document that I gave you, we didn't arrange it very well, but there's a way I would have wanted it to be arranged, but it's fine. That is like this. There's a way I would have wanted these credentials to be arranged. So we're going to add the environment variables. So that's what I'm waiting for. Add the environment variables here. There are about 11 variables I will ask you to add. There are actually, I think 7 variables, but there's 4 extra that we'll be adding for security purposes. And just to ensure that our production is, anything while in production is a bit stable. All right, so while I'm waiting for the 2 minutes, for those of us that are on this thing, you can come back to your render here. I need to explain what is happening here. So now we're creating a new web service. Like we said, we put the container. This is the source code. So this is the source code that is Dockerized. All the Python codes, the packages, the images, everything that is needed for n8n is actually containerized on Docker. And the address to that container is that container that we put right here like this. So it's that container that we put. So this is where the source code is. We did that by going to image, inserting the link, right? We're able to fetch that. Now you are naming your application. This is usually called your slug. So this your slug is actually the address for your subdomain. So remember I was talking about subdomain. So now here we have something like dashboard.render.com, right? This is a subdomain. So anytime you see something dot this, it means it's a subdomain. So if you are going to have something like Ushase or slash Ushase or Ushase dot something, we're talking about a domain. So a domain simply means render.com is a domain. Render.com is a domain, right? So when you have something else dot something, so if you have 2 dots in a particular application, then you are dealing with a subdomain there. So now what we are going to do, that subdomain shows that this something is hosted, you have done is hosted somewhere uniquely different and connected to the domain terminal. So we're now naming our application what we want people. So if somebody is searching for our application, for instance, if I host this and I give you, you can actually follow that my application and create your own workflow. So you can create your own workflow on my own application. You might even probably be able to log out and create your own account. You can even create your own account on my own hosted domain. So I can host this workflow and you can use it to do what you need to do, right? So what do I want people to, how do I want people to find my own hosted address, my own hosted n8n? That is what I'm naming it here. So I want my own hosted n8n to be called Ushases Automations. So we do something like www.ushaseautomations.render.com or .n8n whatever. You should be able to find my own hosted version of n8n. That's what that name is here. Sometimes it's called a slug, right? So but sometimes they assign a slug to you. Sometimes you are allowed to create your own slug or subdomain or whatever. Then hosting region. Hosting region, why is it important to select your hosting region? And it's always good to select your hosting region close to where you are or where your users are. The reason for that is that every data that is hosted in the cloud is hosted somewhere in a particular country. So when you go to a data center has different regions. The data in a is treated, the data on the cloud is treated based on the environment or region that you find yourself, because different environments have different data laws. So we have talk about data protection law, right? So there's GDPA, right? Yeah. So there's DPA and then there's GDPA. DPA is data protection, whatever. So GDPA is global data protection law. So there are laws that govern how you save data, how you transact the data, and how you use the data, how you store, transact, and communicate the data in a particular region. So Europe has their own laws, US has their own laws, and all that. So you always try to save within the region that governs your own global GDPA and your users. So is we in Nigeria, we are closer to Europe than America. So if you don't see Africa, then you can select Europe. So you can host your data in Europe, and that's where your data will be hosted. Now we're selecting free version. I say, okay, run the free version, run our instance, this instance on a free instance, right? This web service that we're hosting on Render, and we're selecting the free version. So Render has a limited free version for hosting. So anything hosting, you have to pay, right? And for Render, you are going to be paying monthly. So just like on Supabase, and the goal of this our self-hosting, for the main goal for now, beyond having control and access to our data and all that, is we are looking for something free that is lasting, something free that we can use for long without having to do free trial every time, at least something basic for learning and all that. When we are going into production, we are building out for people and all that, we can probably self-host for them, and maybe who knows, they may be willing to subscribe. So that is majorly what we will be looking at here. So now we want a free distance. So we did Supabase free, we did this Render free. So that's why we selected a free distance here. Now the next big thing we're going to be doing, which is the key thing that we allow the service to be hosted, is to enter what is called the environment variable, that we configure the application to speak to Docker, to speak to our Supabase, and to speak to the Render hosting service and everything, and give us that platform that will be live. That is what we're doing here. And we're going to be entering 11 variables. Those variables are what I gave you on the sheet there. So what you can do is you can copy all those variables and align each of them. So the first thing is I go to the key. If you go to the sheet, you will see key, environment variables. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy each of those and create it here first before we enter the value. So I'll add as many this here. I'll just be copying it one by one and adding. Then I'm going to explain the environment variables later, either all of them or some of them, what each of those variable is doing. Okay, so I'll the DB type. Let's paste. Let's go to the next. So I hope we are all copying already. So you just keep creating all the environment. Forget about the value for now. Just create all the environment variables that we need, and then we are going to post it. So I'm on user now. Make sure you don't post one variable 2 times, because each variable is supposed to be presented just once. Supposed to be created just once. Copy. Okay. So I'm going to paste this here. Then let's copy. I'm going to paste this here. Okay, where are we here? Certain files permissions. So there are 7 of these variables that will make your product work, but we went extra mile with 11 deliberately. So you don't need to understand all the 11 now, but just make sure you add all of them. So I'm going to add, then I'll count to ensure that they are all 11. They are 11. So okay, this 11. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 of them. So I believe by now all of us will have 11 of these variables ready. Do you have 11 of your variables ready? All right, so now let's start fetching the values. So now if you go back to that sheet, you will see the value there. When it comes to n8n encryption key, it's a random 32 bytes key, right? So now what I would like us to do is you go to Gemini or ChatGPT or any of your this thing. For me, I use Gemini. One way to generate that is to use Python code. So there's a script, a Python code script that you can write that will help you generate your environment variable. But you can use Gemini to generate it, your own personal Gemini. So what we are doing there is, I'm going to explain all those values, but just copy this. You can just copy this anytime, this variable name, and ask the AI to generate anytime encryption key for you, right? That will be used in environment variable. Yeah. So tell it to generate. So just paste the generate, then you paste. I want to use it to set my environment variable. So just say that, and the AI should understand what to do if it is not done. All right, so I'm going to go back to my organization here. Once you come to your organization, you click on projects. So I have one project, I've clicked on it, so you can see my organization name. You can see n8n. The name of my project is n8n. Then you will see connect. There is this here called connect. Very obvious here. Connect, connect. You click on connect. Once you click on connect, it's showing connecting string. Right? It's showing connecting string. With that connecting string, we have some parameters here, but we can't use these parameters. There's a reason why. Now, the reason why I will not be able to use these parameters here is because look at this error that's showing here. It's a not IP version 4 compatible, not IPv4 compatible. Now, what does this mean? So it now says that we should get an IPv4 add-on or a polar settings. We should go for a polar settings. So if I click on this polar settings, it brings me to my polar settings here. So my polar settings shows that pole size is 15, maximum client connection is 200. All this means a lot, but I don't have time to explain all of them. So I go back to connect. At the top middle layer here, you see connect. Once I click connect. So now what does this message here means? Now, before now, all developers all over the world, most applications use IPv4. So IPv4 simply means this IP address. So I'm talking about IP address. So now the IPv4 was usually in use, but now it is finishing in the market. So IPv4 addresses are very, very rare now. They're not much available again. They are depleting. But many applications were built and directed on this IPv4, right? So now there's a new IP in the market called IPv6. The web address, the address of that is longer, very long random numbers. So new applications are developed and pointing towards that particular IP now. But applications like render and all that, they still use IPv4. So now supabase has rewired is this thing to connect to IPv6. So if you are going to connect an IPv4 application to supabase, it simply means that you need to do an extra connection. So a direct connection will not work. So you can see here showing direct connection. So now it's showing URL. What is the type URL? What is the type of connection string we're doing? We're doing URL and we're going to the primary database. Now, what is the method? The method is what? So you have type URL source primary database. Method is what? Direct connection. So now instead of using this direct connection, we're going to use session puller. There's transactional puller. There is session puller. I actually use session puller. Ask me why, I don't know. But I decided to use session puller. I think I know why, but I don't want to go into that as well now. But instead of using this direct connection, if you use direct connection, you're going to have error. You're going to have an error when you deploy. And the simple error reason for the error is to be because the render application, render that is hosting application is not going to be able to communicate So all this address, this environment variable, remember I told you is for communication. It's so that render can communicate to a supabase. Render can communicate to, so that environment variable is doing a lot of communication. It's like servicing as the communication agent to all the necessary sources that it needs to communicate to. So we want to set variables that will allow render to communicate to our DC and to allow n8n workflows to communicate within the containerized Docker to communicate to our database. So in order to do that, we need to connect environment variables from this thing to allow that communication. So I've explained why we are not going to use these direct credentials here. So what I'm going to do, we're going to switch this from direct connection to session puller. So I use session puller. So we are going to change it to session puller, right? This session puller now shows that this is what IPv4 compatible. See that X has changed to check now. So these are the credentials we are going to be using. So we're using host, we use the database this way, and we use this user. Only ports and pool mode that is not going to be needed here because the ports. Now, why are we not going to use ports? This port 5432 is the universal port for Postgres database. So any application connecting to Postgres, once you tell that app that you're connected to Postgres, it already knows the port to use to communicate with a Postgres database. This is universal, it doesn't change. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get back to our environment variable here. So now if we come here, it's a DB type. What is the DB type? The DB type is Postgres. The DB type is Postgres. So we're going to come here. So see database, the database is Postgres. So we're going to come here and we're going to copy Postgres and paste. So you copy Postgres and you paste. There is a DB Postgres host. So what is the host? So if you go back to the database now, we're going to see the host. See the host here. The host, this is the address. You over, you'll see copy. So I'm going to copy the address. I've copied it. I'll come back here and then I'll paste here. See the host is pasted successfully. So you see the host is defined central to this in puller.org. So this is showing AWS 1EU. So AWS is actually the, I don't know, I'm explaining all these details. It's literally unnecessary. But AWS is actually the cloud service that most of these applications are built on. So Supabase is built on AWS and it's telling you that your data is hosted on AWS. Even though Supabase is the interface, database interface, the real person hosting your data is AWS and is hosting it in Europe. Your data is hosted under the Europe protocol. So your data protection, everything is relating to protocol as Europe Central, right? So now it shows that it's a puller connection that you are using .supabase.com. So connected through supabase.com, blah, blah, blah. So you can literally read ports, you can read web addresses and all that. So this is why I'm emphasizing all this thing. You see that when you see long distance, don't just be discouraged. They mean something. So always, if you need to, I like to find what is the meaning of all these addresses. So DB Postgres user. So I'm going to go back to go and copy the Postgres user. So look at the user here, Postgres, blah, blah, blah. You see. Now, if it was the other one we're using, the user would have simply been Postgres. But this one, and the user is longer. The user is carrying literally almost the web address of the direct connection, pointing us back to the direct connection. So we're going to copy that user. We've copied the user. So we're going to paste the user there, Postgres, whatever. Okay, now it says DB Postgres DB database. So if you come back to your this here, you're going to see we have the DB there. It asks for DB Postgres this host database. Database is Postgres. DB Postgres DB database is actually Postgres. This one is Postgres DB. Let's copy this, but I think we need to change the DB type is Postgres DB. Postgres DB. That is this one. Let's change it. It's Postgres DB. So is this other one that is Postgres? This one is Postgres. Where is it? Postgres. Yes, is this? It's Postgres. You can also come here, you'll see it. Postgres. Database is Postgres. So DB type is Postgres DB. Postgres DB. DB type, Postgres DB. It is a DB Postgres DB database. This one is Postgres. This is Postgres. Just paste Postgres there. Then DB Postgres DB password. This is the password you set for your database. That is the project you created. You created a database, a password for it. So is that password that you're going to set? So I am going to go and look for my own password. I need to stop sharing briefly and get my password. Yeah. Okay. So I've successfully posted my password. So I can share my screen again. Okay, so I've posted my password. So you can post your own password. That is your own database password, the password you created for your DB. Remember, not your Supabase account password, except your Supabase account password is the same as your project, that's your DB password. If it's not the same with the DB password, then enter the DB password. And that's why I said you could have, it's better if you know you're going to miss it, use the same password. Now we're going to have n8n enforce settings files permission. So majorly what we are going to be writing here is true, 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 true. This is the simplest. This in 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to have like 4 truths. Yes, we're going to have like 4 truths here. n8n runner enabled, enforce password, blah, blah, blah. So just enforce that we submit our password. So I'm just going to write in true here. I'll write true here. I'll write true and I'll write true. So it's majorly true, 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 true. Right. So everything there is true. So that's what you need to do. You can use capital true if you want. It doesn't matter. Don't think it matters. All it needs is for you to tell it true. Anybody successfully have all the environment variable sets? Because we're about to deploy our web service and say congratulations to ourselves. Anybody with all the environment variable ready? Peace, where are you?
I didn't get all of them. Oh.
Which one
I
did you
got
not?
it. I got the first one. We deleted the second one. Let me open that. So, and I got the true part. So basically, almost and my password. So the other ones I got lost.
All right, so I believe nobody is here, right? Anybody on their way to this place? So when you're done, you deploy. I think we'll probably all need to go and watch the video. You deploy. I've clicked on deploy. It's going to deploy. It's deploying, and it will show me it's deploying. I'll wait till I see that I'm live. Now, once it deploys, it's going to create my URL. So see my URL here. Now, this URL, if I go to it now, it's not going to work. Why? Because that one that we deleted, that I said delete, that is the environment variable that makes this URL to load. So I've opened this URL. So you see, it's showing render incoming HTTP request detected, service waking up, blah blah blah, or whatever. So it's not supposed to connect because I have not added that particular. Listen, it's because it's deploying, so it's still deploying. So even if you deploy successfully and finish, it will probably not work. So I'm waiting for it. Let's come back here and see what is deploying here. So this is what is started deploying, migrating to do a lot of migrations, pull from Docker, pull from everywhere. And when it's time to just show that this thing is on. Detected a new open port expected. Let's go back to our link. Not found. Yes. So this is what I expected. It shows not found because we have not pointed how it will view the URL. So I'm going to go back and add that once it deploys us also. Finishing migration detected docs unspecified port alive. So another way to follow is I'll come to my events here. If I come to events, I'll see what is first deploy started this. So this is my first deployment on render. So you can have several future deployments. Anytime you change environment variable, you deploy something to appear here. So I'm tracking it. So once you finish, it's going to mark it as I finish deploying. So I can go back to monitor it there if I want by clicking on deploy. That's Corona connection. Then failed. Can't fail. Neither. Yes, this is the exciting news. Your service is live. Great. So my service is live, available at your primary URL, automations.onrender.com. So I've gone live successfully. Even if I check this now, it's not supposed to work. Yeah, it's not going to work. So you see this green tick here, it shows that my service is live now. So I'm going to go back to events. So deployment started at this time and it went live at this time, right? So it took about 3 minutes to deploy. Okay, so what do? I'll go back to the environment variable. I'll copy this now. So I'm going to copy this. I'll copy this URL now. I'll go back to environment variable. And in this environment variable, I'm going to go to edit. I have to edit and add an environment variable. So I'll come here. You click on add. Then you click on new variable. This is the value that I copied. So I'll paste the value here. When you paste the value, go to your sheet. In your sheet, you can locate that one that we said delete is view app URL base. View app URL base API, right? So that URL base API, you can copy it here. View app URL base API. So I'll add my slash. It's important for the slash to be there at the end. I'll add a slash and then I'm going to deploy again. So if you come here, you'll see save and deploy. So that will make my link to go live. Save and deploy. Updated environment variables for this service, triggering a deploy. So it's triggering a deploy. So it started. Let's go back and monitor deploy. Go to events. Under events, there's a new deploy that started by this time. And when it deploys successfully, it's going to show that it's deployed. Yeah. So you can always monitor if you want. You can open it and monitor to see what it's doing. It's not necessary, but if you like monitoring, that's good. I guess it's loading. So I'm just going to wait for it here. Once it's ready, we'll go live. So if I refresh this link here, it won't go live until that deployment is complete. So once you see, it's coming live now. So it means that deployment is almost complete. That's why the link is attempting to go live. You're the man. You're the faithful God. Awesome is in the It's live. So let's go and check our link. Let's go and check our link. Still showing not found. Not true. You cannot not be found. You are live now. And I refresh. Cannot get. Why can you not get? Cannot get. That is very strange. They deployed successfully. So why can you not get? Available at your primary list. Says cannot get. So let me refresh this. Refresh my render. Not found. Shall say it's not found. Any of my environment variable has issue. Communicated properly. So I didn't do anything. I just waited and reloaded. So you might face a similar challenge. Maybe just wait and then reload as well. So this thing is set. So once your account is set, you can go ahead and create your account. So I'm going to create my own personal this thing. Create my account, set up owner account, blah 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 blah. So if I come back to render, I go back to the home here, clicking on this logo. All services are up and running. So this is my project, blah, blah, blah. My other environment looks differently because I connected some other extra things. There's some things I connected. So my projects is Ocean automations, self-hosted services back here. Yeah, let's come back here. So it has created whatever. what describes the company, what best describes your company, blah blah blah. What best describes my company? Well, let me see other. Which industries is your company in IT? Yeah. Which role best describes you? Uh, business and who the automations generally be for myself. How big is your company? Uh, less than 20. Okay, I'm not using n8n for work. How did you hear about n8n? I think the first time was on LinkedIn, then get started. So this is where they asked me for the get pay free feature free this year, and they will activate my license. So I did for one of the hosting that I did yesterday. That was the Docker hosting. But when I did the second, your license key is on check your email. So it works when I go here, but when I use the official hello AIPS, they refuse to send it. I don't know why. So I can't give my license key. I'll have to shut down. So it's simple. You just go to your email, you copy the license key and follow the instruction, and they will unlock some extra new features for you. So you copy the license key, they will show you activate license key. So I click on the button, activate license key, and then so anybody that gets a license, if you're confused, just ensure that you request for the key. They will send it to you. If you are lost, I can help you. But I may not be. I couldn't share the screen because of whatever. So you can go to your email, follow through to activate, or you can go to the n8n application activate. So I'll just show you via, since I can't open my email, let me show you via the n8n. So this is my hosted n8n. So what I did simply is this is where you will land. So I went to my name here, UT. This is a profile. Click on profile, click on settings. So the first thing you see here is usage and plan. So my own has changed to manage plan here now, but it was a different city. So I clicked on enter activation key. So when I clicked on enter activation key, they brought it out. So I copied the activation key from my email and then I pasted and activated. So it shows that I've activated it now. So I'm on that community edition plan. I'm registered on the community edition plan. Okay, so is there any other so I think that is how you host successfully. I've hosted, I've created account. What is left now is for me to start creating workflows. So we hope that everybody is going to have their n8n hosted by tomorrow, and you will get ready for a new engagement.